Hello and welcome back to the movies made us do it. Me and Matt are back. How are you, Matt?
I'm pretty good. So yourself?
Doing all right, yeah. Yeah, we kind of delayed the show because we didn't have much to talk about, and then work and things. But we're back now.
Yep.
And you've got a few films. I've got a film and a series. So, what do you want to start with?
Should we start with Copshop then?
Let's start with Copshop.
Yep.
What were your thoughts of Copshop?
Well, so we got Joe Carnahan directing.
Yes.
Last thing we saw him was that time travel-y one. I say time travel. It was a time loop thing. The Boss Level.
Yes, Boss Level. Also starring
Frank Grillo.
Frank Grillo, yeah.
Yeah, so we got Gerard Butler, Alexis Lauder, Toby Huss, and Chad L. Coleman.
Yeah.
So basically, it's sort of like Assault on Precinct 13, isn't it? Really.
It kind of is. So
that's the feel about it.
A kind of career con man. Frank Grillo is basically he's got a hit out on him, so he decides to basically get himself arrested. He's taken to a precinct in the middle of the desert. It's like in the middle of nowhere, and then all the fun starts when Gerard Butler's hitman turns up, pretending to be drunk, or I think he is actually drunk, to get himself arrested, and ends up in the cell next to him, and the movie kind of goes on from there. So. What did you make of it?
To start with, this movie got my back up straight away.
Did it?
Yes.
I loved this. I had a really good time.
Well, the thing that got my back up was it opened with the theme from Magnum Force.
I liked that. I actually was like, that's really cool. I was down with that.
I hated it.
Did you? No, I thought it was a lovely tribute. I was fine with it.
I'm sorry, you don't fucking do your movie and go Magnum Force. I'm sorry. You do not do that.
Oh, I loved it. I genuinely had the opposite reaction to you. I was like, awesome, the Magnum Force theme.
Fuck you, movie. You don't get to fucking lean on Magnum Force. That's not fucking right.
I loved that. That's funny. We had like the opposite reaction. I can see that going one of two ways, but for me, I was like, oh, sweet, Magnum Force. Awesome.
No, it really pissed me off. For me, it just got my back up. It was just literally.
No, fair. Yeah.
You are leaning on what is like one of the prime 70s movies.
It's my second favorite Dirty Harry movie for sure. I love Magnum Force. It's a great movie.
But apart from after the initial sort of
the initial fuck you,
bastards, I did really enjoy it.
I had a blast with this movie, and it's funny you said that it would it's very Assault on Precinct 13. I would totally watch like Assault on Precinct 13 and this back to back. It's a brilliant double feature together.
I just think the remake of Assault is really good as well.
Do you know what? I've never watched the remake of Assault on Precinct 13.
Really good.
Is it?
Yeah, they change a few things. It's not like a random street gang. It's like bent coppers in that one. But it's really good.
That probably works a little better narratively, if I'm honest.
Yeah. It's Ethan Hawke and Morpheus.
And Morpheus.
My brain is.
Oh yeah.
No, the proper one. Damn your eyes.
Lawrence Fishburne.
Yes, thank you very much, Lawrence Fishburne. Stupid memory. Yeah, Lawrence Fishburne plays the sort of the bad guy sort of thing, as it were, and Hawke plays the sort of good cop sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's actually quite a good remake.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, there we are.
But the original, I mean, that's just one of those sort of like standout grotty movies, isn't it?
It's great. There's some great scenes in that original movie. Especially when you think it was all done on such a shoestring. Yeah, I love one of my favorite scenes of that is the paper kind of dancing across the table as they're getting shot at with the silenced weapons and stuff. And that's a budget thing, but but
it works so well.
It's so effective. I mean, it's basically Night of the Living Dead with guys instead of zombies. But a really fun movie, good siege movie. And this kind of is in the same vein because it's not just Gerard Butler's assassin. There are other assassins and other people. Is the kind of
Huss turns up and he's like, I do like that Gerard Butler when Frank Grillo's character says to him that he's a psycho, and he's like, I'm not a psycho, I just kill people. And then when and then when Anthony Lamb turns up, he's like, there you go. That dude, that's a fucking psycho.
Toby Huss is having the best time of his life in this movie. He is great. He just turns up with my favorite scene of the movie is actually when he comes into the police station and the cop behind the desk is looking at it like known associates.
Yeah.
And he's like, dude, you look exactly like this guy. He's like, come see this.
Almost the entire police force in this fucking building
just absolute idiots. Yeah, it's great.
Just complete incompetent divs. I mean, so Alexis Lauder, Valerie, she's great.
She's amazing, and I don't know if I've seen her in anything else, but I loved her in this movie.
I'm sure I have.
I thought she was absolutely fantastic as Valerie.
Tomorrow War, apparently, so we've at least seen her before.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm just looking through
she was great.
Yeah, I thought she was absolutely fantastic.
I love the fact that she's got this this Ruger Blackhawk that she properly gunslinger sort of.
Oh yeah.
Flips and stuff, and there's that really quite nice scene with her and her partner, the Mexican guy who's got the Ruger Red Hawk, and they do that duel thing, which
you just get bored and start dueling with empty pistols.
That was a really nice setup. I like that, and they set up his character quite well. The others not so much. So you didn't feel quite so much when some of the others just got. It's like, oh well, they're just.
Yeah, like I thought like Huber, is it Huber? He was quite good, the dirty cop.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed the sergeant. I like that.
A little messy, the whole when they were sort of like moving around, but the bit where they're sort of trying to introduce you to the other coppers.
Yeah.
It seemed to go on too long, but they didn't use the time to establish the characters well enough, I don't think.
No, I kind of agree, actually.
That was a bit messy. But yeah, the sergeant was great, and I
missed that kind of stereotypical sergeant. I've kind of missed it. It is fun.
And they had some really nice callbacks as well when they had, they set things up quite nicely with the present, the present that he got his...
Yeah.
His daughter, was it, or something? Or his niece? I can't remember.
I think it's, his niece, isn't it, I think?
Yeah, that was quite nice, and when that comes back later on, I thought that was great. And the scene when Valerie's trying to get into the she's changing the code on.
She's trying to change the code so that they can't get in, isn't she? That's a really tense scene when he starts singing as well.
Absolutely. Spraying that bloody booth she's in.
Yeah, and she's just getting covered in tiny little shards of glass. And
I love how focused she is. It's like literally these like bits of glass pinging off her face and stuff. It's really great.
And the realization when she realizes that she shot herself.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Like, just about the caliber of the bullet that was just used. It's like, and I like the way that Frank Gray's like, what the fuck does that mean? And Gerard Butler just goes, it means she shot herself.
Yeah. I did like that for I'd say a good portion of this movie. I wasn't sure who I was rooting for. I was like, I'm not sure who's the good guy and who's the bad guy. Like when they were both in the cells, it's like they're both kind of. I mean, no one's particularly nice apart from Valerie, I guess. No one's particularly good in this movie in terms of the main cast. But I was for a long time. I was like, I really don't know who I would choose to trust in this situation because she's kind of obviously she's going to bleed out and die.
Yeah.
So she needs medical assistance, and she's kind of trying to decide. Do I trust this con man or do I trust this drunk who's apparently an assassin?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think that was done quite well. I did think it was really fucking weird though. The setup of this police station. Maybe it's a real setup for a police station, but when when he gets processed, they take him past the armory, which has got a glass fucking wall, and you can just see all the machine guns, all the assault rifles, all lined up. And you think, why would you take the prisoners past, like where they can see where all the guns are? I mean, I guess for the conceit of the movie, fine.
Yeah.
But really,
it's a movie police station.
it's a very badly designed movie police station.
Yeah.
I thought Gerard Butler was a little bit underused.
Yeah, I liked his performance though. I thought
Yeah,
it was good.
When the conversation between him and Grillo in the cells was pretty good.
I will say, I think it was one of my favorite Frank Grillo performances. Actually, I really enjoyed his performance in this movie. Thought he was great.
I must admit, I really liked him in that boss level. That's one of the only times I've really liked him.
Sure, yeah, he's kind of coming into his own now because he kind of started as a stunt guy, didn't he?
Yeah.
But yeah, he is great in this. I actually thought I genuinely had a lot of fun watching this movie.
Yeah, I think I would say it's nowhere near as good as something like Assault on Precinct.
Oh no.
But I did like you. I had a lot of fun watching it. It was a really enjoyable thing.
I think it's a very different tone to Assault on Precinct 13 as well. I mean, this is very much a kind of action comedy or dark comedy at least
that worked quite well.
Yeah,
but it was for the most part it was set up pretty well, and I think it really helps that Alexis Louder was so compelling. It helped that she I completely bought into her character. I think if any sort of lesser actress,
I agree. A lesser actress, this wouldn't have worked as well at all.
Yeah, it would have fallen down completely on her part because you just wouldn't have wanted to stay with that person. You wouldn't have given a shit.
Yeah, definitely.
It really did make you care, and I'd liked this. The stuff with where Butler worked out that she was married. It's like you're left-handed, you wouldn't wear your ring on your left hand. All that sort of thing. That was great. I loved that. That was really nice, sweet little bit of writing, I thought.
Yeah, absolutely. So this was kind of a hidden gem. I had no idea this movie was coming out. Hadn't seen anything about it, and then I saw it on Amazon Prime. It was kind of on their title thing. I was like, I didn't even know that was coming out, and I don't know why, but something about it kind of put me off. Something in the trailer, I was like, I just don't really know how I feel about this, and I kind of watched it because I was like, well, I need to watch something, so I guess I'll watch that. And boy, am I glad I watched it because I had an absolute blast with this movie. It was great.
Yeah, other than the few sort of little niggles and the Magnum Force thing pissing.
Yeah, that's funny. We had opposite reactions to that.
Other than that, I thought it was great, and using at the very end as well, using is it Freddy's Dead?
Yeah,
that was a bit sort of because that's another one that's like pretty stuck where it is.
Sure.
It has that weight of movies with it already.
Yeah,
and sometimes it just annoys me when movies sort of play on that.
I get it because that kind of thing has annoyed me in the past, and I think I've always said, I always think that Seth MacFarlane is one of the worst for that. Like what you'll watch one of his movies and it'll it kind of works for Family Guy, but when they do it in a movie and they show you here's a whole bit from Aeroplane or something, you're like, well, now I just want to watch Aeroplane. Don't remind me of a better movie in your movie. But this one, because this movie was good, it kind of worked out okay. It
was slightly better at the end because of the way they set it up, that it was on the radio and that they just both happened to be listening to it.
I enjoyed them both singing it at the end as well. That was quite fun.
Exactly. That was why that one worked, because it was like, they literally did, it was the characters' knowledge of that song that worked for that scene, which was why that one didn't bother me so much.
Yeah.
But overall, it is just a thoroughly entertaining, fun action movie.
Yeah, I thought so. It was a good bit of fun. So, what else have you watched?
So, I have watched Big Bug.
Big Bug, a film I know nothing about, but I do like the one picture I Googled for this show. It looks really quirky, and I like the design and direction and framing of this one shot. So, for a still, it looks great, but how does it work as a film?
It's a Netflix movie, and it's directed by Jean-Pierre Jeunet, who directed Amélie and Delicatessen.
Mm-hmm.
Both amazing movies. If you haven't seen those, go watch them. They're great. So it's set in the slight future, and it's a suburban house with where we're introduced to Alice, played by Elsa Zelberstein. I'm going to mess these up because they're French names. And she's looks like she's about to start a date with this bloke, Max, played by Stephen de Groot, who is brought his son for some reason. And then his the Alice's ex-husband turns up to drop off their daughter, and he comes with his new girlfriend Jennifer. So we've got Victor and Jennifer, and you've got played by Claire Crust and Yusuf Hadid, and Alice's house is full of. She's very quirky and she likes old things. So she has books and she likes calligraphy.
Okay.
And this is the future, so that that nobody really reads books anymore. No one writes anything. No one and.
I've seen a movie trailer this week that makes me question whether people read books anymore.
Really? Oh, okay. Yes. Yeah. Okay, I got you. Yeah.
Anyway,
we'll get to that later. So this house also contains a number of robots.
Yeah.
Now they haven't been upgraded in a while, so they're a little quirky. And you've got Monique, played by Claude Perron, and you've got a little sort of toy one, and you've got this like a domestic vacuum robot, and then later on you are introduced to this sort of this head and shoulders sort of robot who's basically Einstein, who you play games with and stuff like that.
Okay.
So there's a sort of awkward tension going on with this sort of, the ex-husband and all that sort of stuff. Meanwhile, you get these adverts, and in these adverts there are these things called Yonexes. Now these Yonexes, they seem to be the latest Android sort of thing, and it seems to be that they're trying to take over humanity, and they've got this Homo Ridiculous adverts where they've got these weird sort of little programs where these robots are treating humans like pets and sort of circus animals and things, which is really fucking weird. And while this is going on, there seems to be these sort of that they're trying to say these adverts for Yonex is saying, oh, we're superior to humans, and we're better soldiers and all that sort of stuff. And there seems to be some sort of discussion going on in Parliament whether the Yonexes are going to take over or not.
Okay.
So this neighbour comes round, and she sort of the next door neighbour who has borrowed all these things over the years, and she's sort of talking to them, and something happens outside. You're not quite sure what's happened, but you presume it's something with the Yonexes. But the androids the robots inside are just basically to protect the humans. They seal the room. They seal the house.
Okay.
So they can't get out, and they won't let them out because they say it's too dangerous out there, and we're protecting the humans. And you get these lovely little scenes, which are hilarious, with these robots, and they've gone into this sort of this garden room. And they're discussing the best way to sort of endear themselves to humans.
Right.
And the Einstein robot says the best way to endear ourselves to them is to look up humor. So they all look up humor. It's we appeal to their that human because humanity loves humor and stuff, and we'll ease them in. We'll make them our friends. And then he says, and if we fail, well, humans fail, so that'll make us more human.
Yeah, that their logic.
Yeah, and you get sort of one of the sort of the new girlfriend. She sort of contacts the young because she wants that her and her partner. They're supposed to be going to this luxury on the water sort of hotel resort sort of thing.
Okay,
and they're supposed to be getting married there sort of thing. And she's going, oh, I hate this. You've got to let this out. So she ends up contacting these Yonexes, and one of them makes it into the house.
Right.
And then he starts basically burning the books and things because they're contraband, and he
Sure.
starts, telling them that he's fining them all this money for little minor infractions and things. And there's just these lovely little sort of setups. So if you've seen, something like Amelie or delicatessen, you'll get the feel for how the humor of this movie. It's very incredibly French. It couldn't be more French if it was wearing a berry and carrying a baguette. It's that French. So it's that sort of kind of humor. So if you don't like that, then you're definitely not going to like this movie. But it's really really beautifully shot, and it's these even the sets look massively artificial, but they're supposed to.
Sure.
Everything, all the houses look like like sort of cardboard, plastics, shells, but they're supposed to, because that's what the future is, and there are some just lovely little sort of little interactions between the sort of families, and they have these moments where they've decided they all need to sleep in it's their own. We need privacy, so we need our own rooms and stuff. So they divide up all the rooms, and then you've got these sort of bits where they're trying to sneak into the new boyfriend's trying to sneak into the woman's room to sort of have sex with her, and things happen and it doesn't happen, and they keep trying, and it's that amount of farcical French humor. But it's really beautifully directed. The robots are really nicely played. The Yonexes are horribly they are actually quite terrifying at times. They just
right.
They have this. They seem to have this. The guy who played there's one guy who plays all of them, and he has just got these big teeth in his mouth, and he's got this really horrible stare, and you can see that they seem to have a sense of humor, but a really twisted sense of humor, because there's he's watching these this family mess up and stuff, and he's every time they do something that he doesn't like, you can see that he's taking great pleasure in punishing them.
Right.
I really enjoyed it. It's a really really fun, humorous, sort of futuristic movie, and there's some real sort of funny jokes about isolation and stuff, and self-isolation. It's really funny. I can't recommend it enough. It's really good. If, like I said, I think it's certainly not going to be to everybody's taste, but if you like French farce, then this is going to be great.
Yeah,
really fun little movie.
Yeah, it looks great. So, what did you want to talk about next? Reacher. So, Netflix have done a series on Jack Reacher, and it's called Reacher. Yeah. So, have you read any Jack Reacher before?
I have not.
Neither have I. Although my dad is a huge fan of the books, so yeah. I'm kind of aware of some things. Like, when Tom Cruise was cast in the movies, he was like, "Well, that doesn't really work."
Well, James, who we used to work with at the station, he is a massive Reacher fan. So I got all my information from him, and when they announced the first movie, he was like, "Okay, how's that?"
Well, it works because Tom Cruise bought the rights.
Exactly.
That's how that works.
To be fair, the first one is great.
I really like the first Reacher movie as a movie. I don't know that it represents the book very well, but I do think it's actually a really fun and good movie. One of the few movies I've seen where they actually portray a muscle car the way a muscle car would actually handle.
Yes.
Yeah, really enjoyed the first one. I remember nothing of the second one except something to do with an officer ending up in prison, and then he gets her out. That's all I remember. Oh, and he's got a daughter. I remember he's got a daughter in it, or maybe may have a daughter in it. They say he might have a daughter, but I don't really remember much about the second one. But I really enjoyed the first one.
I remember Kobe Smulders was the soldier.
That's right. She's an officer, isn't she? I think.
Yeah. Yes. So honestly, I'm kind of like you. I think I've mostly forgotten the second one. But it just wasn't anywhere near as good as that first one.
No, but fond memories of the first one, and I don't think the second one offended me. I just don't really remember, but it was just kind of forgettable.
No, I think it was just bland. Yeah, it was just, I think,
so
the sort of force of the first one.
Yeah. So Amazon have bought the rights for at least the TV show. I don't know if maybe the movies still sit with Mr. Cruz, but they've got the rights to a TV show, and they cast Alan Ritchson, who looks pretty good for the role to me from descriptions I have heard.
He's from like Teen Titans, Titans.
He's been around forever. He used to be in Smallville and stuff, wasn't he?
Yeah,
he was like Aquaman or something.
He was Hawk in Titans, and
he was Hawk in Titans as well. Yes.
Yeah, and he was Aquaman in
Smallville.
Which I think is quite funny because Lana Lang's in this as well, isn't she?
Yeah, she is. Yeah, I noticed that. I was like a Smallville reunion.
Yeah, and he is just great. I mean, he is huge, so he perfectly fits.
He is huge. They do exaggerate a little bit, like when they're like, "Oh my god, we couldn't get handcuffs to fit the guy," and it's like, his wrists aren't that big.
No,
I don't think it'd be a problem. But fine, for the purposes of this, it's fine.
And it does give you that moment with cable ties, which is actually quite. I mean, you can see it coming a mile off. But it works quite well. It's quite funny.
Yeah. So
the other cast members, Malcolm Goodwin is Oscar, Finley's great.
Yeah.
Willa Fitzgerald as Roscoe, I thought was really funny. And the other cast members like Bruce McGill is the mayor and all that stuff. And I think they do a pretty good job of setting everything up from the beginning. You've got
I must admit the first episode I found a bit tough, if I'm honest. And I know Luke from the Arts Hole fucking hated this show.
Really?
Yeah, I he's a huge Reacher fan, so
okay.
But maybe it's that, I don't know. But I will agree with him on a few points that Reacher comes across like an asshole early on in this show, like, and it was kind of I had like it's mostly the first episode where I was like I feel like I'm siding with Oscar and Roscoe, and I'm not sure I'm meant to in these scenes. It's like Reacher's meant to be in the right, I guess, and the cleverest man in the room.
I get that. I did get that. I thought it was okay that he wasn't saying anything because he was.
Oh no, it was fine. He wasn't saying. It was when he said things, he just kind of comes across like a bit of an asshole, to be honest, in places. But that, as I watched, it lessened. It was mostly that first episode. I really. Overall, I did genuinely enjoy this series in the end. Yeah. I think that the plot is kind of, you can see what's probably going to be. You could probably tell who the bad guy is from the first scene he turns up.
The funny thing is there's a similar story of going to a small town and a rich person sort of taking over.
Yeah.
There's a real similar story in the Superman and Lois series.
Dude. That's so weird that you said that. For Valentine's Day, my fiance bought me the complete collection of Lois and Clark.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Have you started watching it yet?
No, I can't wait. It's going to be such cheesy fun. I can't wait.
I haven't finished the first season yet, but
do you have it on DVD as well?
I like it so far.
No, wait a minute. What are we talking about? I'm talking about the 90s Dean Cain Terry Hatcher series.
No. So that's Lois and Clark, isn't it?
Lois and Clark. Yeah.
Superman. I thought you meant the. No, I was talking about the.
Oh, you were talking about the new show,
Superman and Lois.
No, I haven't started watching that yet. Although I hear that's actually pretty good.
I'm enjoying it. Some of the stuff with the kids is bloody annoying, but the
kids
Superman
are always annoying. Yeah.
So there are similar things out, but I love Lois and Clark. They were great.
Yeah, I'm guessing it's probably aged horribly, but I'm gonna love it anyway because I love that kind of 90s cheesy stuff.
I don't think I've seen it since the 90s. So
no, I haven't. We were
interested to see how it goes.
Well, we had. The reason she got it is we had this big conversation about it. About like watching it on a Saturday night back in the 90s and whatnot. So, yeah. But anyway, that was beside the point. So overall,
I thought he was really good. Actually, I thought there's some really lovely scenes.
I warmed to him. At first, I wasn't sure, but as I went on, I agree.
There was a really nice scene in, I think it was like episode 3 or so, when he's talking to his brother's sort of girlfriend. It's not exactly his girlfriend, but
they had like something, didn't they? They were obviously attracted to each other.
There was a real sort of, real emotional scene. I think it was really well done. That really sort of endeared me to his character.
Yeah,
and Alan Richardson did really well in that. I really like the Roscoe character.
I think the supporting cast personally are the strongest part of this show. Roscoe was absolutely great. I agree.
Yeah. And I think I have seen other people review this, and I do agree with the gripes about the end. There was a sort of everybody gets their bad guy to fight.
Yeah, they're like, right, okay.
That was a bit cheesy.
Yeah, I agree.
Needed to do that. They didn't have to do it that way. It was a bit weird.
I think and I did enjoy this show, but I think the biggest issue I kind of had with it was that it was pretty obvious early on what was going on, and the show kind of treats it as this big mystery, and it's like it's really obvious, guys. You know, Columbo would have solved this in seconds. It
became annoying when he kept bringing up the feed and everybody was just dismissing it.
Yeah, you're like, clearly
just fucking listen. It's like, it's not a stupid question. It's an obviously a real thing. It's like, stop fucking dismissing his things for it.
Yeah, please stop questioning the man that's been right about everything in this entire series. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed. I loved the supporting cast. I think the supporting cast were great.
And most of the fights were really, really good. There was some really nice early.
It was brutal. I was quite surprised at what they did actually show. To be honest, in places.
And he does like a headbutt, doesn't he?
Yes.
I was watching it with my wife and my brother-in-law, and there's one, like, almost every episode he gets his shirt off.
Yeah.
Almost every episode, which I'm fine with. Ladies need to look at something too. But one thing I did find hilarious is, so this dude, he wanders around everywhere, like, not really doing very much other than sort of walking.
Now, walking like an aggressive asshole. I should point out, like, his walk is like the kind of walk when you see absolute tossers in town. You're like, you're clearly a jackass.
He is completely cut, right?
He's in amazing shape. Yeah.
There is no way does that body exist on a guy who is a hobo
and eats what he eats as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, he's eating crap the whole movie, the whole show.
And coffee. It's like, there's no way that dude is that cut.
Yeah,
muscular, sure. I'm happy for him to be muscular, but there's no way he's that fucking cut.
No,
that amount of being cut, like, is like 5 hours at the gym every day, sort of thing, isn't it?
And proper diet.
Yeah,
I think I think he gained like 30 pounds or something for this role.
I can imagine. So,
yeah, because he's a big guy anyway, but he's bigger.
Yeah. He's a massive slab on meat.
But yeah, overall, I enjoyed it. I'm hoping. I'm sure there will be a second season.
I think most sort of flashbacks were quite good. At fleshing out the.
I thought they served their purpose actually. Yeah. I flashbacks go one of two ways, and I thought it was done well here.
I think it was sort of like one sort of brief one an episode, which I think was fine. It was okay. It didn't sort of detract too much from the overall storyline. Yeah,
I thought it was fine, and usually it was relevant to what we were watching.
Yeah,
in the present, which is the best way a flashback can be. Especially with TV shows, they seem to do flashbacks for seemingly no reason. Just because they're like, oh, we've not really got enough. Because most series these days are movies stretched out into series, so they're like, oh, we need to pad this out. Let's do a flashback. But here, I felt like when there were flashbacks, they were relevant to what was going on.
I think they did quite a good job of showing, the nature of his character and why him and his brother are like they are. Because his parents and their relationship, I think, was really nicely done. Yeah. So overall, I really enjoyed this one. Yeah. I did too. It was a really good sort of detective drama. Well, I was really enjoying it. Almost everybody in it was doing a great job. Yeah, I had fun. Other than some sort of obvious saw it coming a mile off moments. The plot was quite generic, if I'm honest. It was a good. I think there's something like 26 books. Yeah, I think this is just
the first book.
So yeah,
I was describing the
really
vague plot to my dad, and he was like, "Oh yeah, that's the first book." So I think they've started at the start, effectively.
So I think that it did a pretty good job of setting up, the character, and I actually will.
I'll watch more.
Look forward to another season.
Yeah.
I mean, also, I did like his is that the other his the girl he worked with. Is one of his the sort of sniper girl. She was great as well.
Oh yeah, she was fantastic. Yeah, I really enjoyed her. Yeah, I'd like to see more of her in the future.
Yeah,
it's
really cool. So yeah,
I liked when they both deduced that they'd be at the hotel.
Yeah,
the coffee shop. Sorry, the coffee shop. Because he went there trying to find her, and she went there trying to find him for completely different reasons. Because they assumed something about each other. I thought that was quite funny. But yeah,
that's good.
They do that thing where they're talking in public about clearly being dangerous, murderous people. But that seems to happen in all of these shows. People just walk around talking about things in public. You're like, really?
And it was cheesy, but I did like the pie thing as well. I thought that was.
Oh yeah, I
did think it was quite funny.
It was worth it for the joke.
Yeah.
When he's like, I've had better. It's like after all of that, the whole way through the show. But I overall, like I said, the first episode I wasn't so sure, but as it went on, won me over, and I did really enjoy it.
Yeah.
So what else have you watched?
So I have also seen I Want You Back.
I Want You Back.
So this is Charlie Day and Jenny Slate. It's got Scott Eastwood.
I really like Scott Eastwood. I think he's.
I still think he hasn't found his, the right, niche or whatever for him. He always ends up in really shit roles, and it's really annoying.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know whether it's just he's got a terrible manager or whether he just makes bad decisions.
Who knows?
He's been in some terrible things. I think the last really good thing I thought of him was Outpost. I really like that. That was good.
Outpost is great. I enjoyed his performance in Wrath of Man as well. I think he's in Wrath of Man.
That, so
well, he plays like a scarred bad guy in that, and I was kind of like, that's kind of against type for Scott Eastwood.
So maybe he is, maybe he's beginning to fight, his fate. So this is directed by Jason Orley, and you basically were introduced to Emma and Peter. Now, Peter is with his girlfriend Anne, played by Gina Rodriguez, and they are at a birthday party, and they've been together for a couple of years, and he thinks everything's going fine and great, and she turns around and she says, I've been told I can be an actress. I'm looking for better things, and you're just sort of boring, basically. And I'm like,
oh no,
you're sort of holding me back, and I think we should break up. So they break up. And on the, sort of the other thing, we've got Jenny Slate's Emma, who is with Scott Eastwood's Noah, and they've been together for a while. He's this sort of, he's a personal trainer. She's a receptionist at an orthodontist, and they're at this sort of cafe, and they're having this conversation, and they're eating, and he's making her eat steak and saying, you really need to sort of get the iron in you because you keep forgetting your iron tablets and all that stuff. And then he says, I think we should break up, and she's like, what? So they break up.
Okay, so both very unexpected breakups. Yeah.
Now, turns out that Peter and Emma work in the same building but on different floors, and they meet each other crying in the stairwell.
Okay.
So they meet. They basically discuss to talk about what's upset them. They realise that they've got they're in the same sort of position, and after a drunken karaoke session and all that sort of stuff, they come up with this plan to break up the other person's relationships,
right?
And so that they can get them back. So Emma says, "I'll break up this new boyfriend that your girlfriend's got," and he says, "Well, I can do that." He says, "No, I don't think you can. You're not good looking enough to sort of break them up. So what he decides to do is he'll befriend Scott Eastwood and become friendly with him. So he becomes, he goes to train with him so that he can break them up through his friendship with him.
Okay.
So you can see what's happening, what's going to happen.
I can see I wrote the end of this movie in my head the moment you explained the start of the movie, but
so you see all that stuff coming. The worst thing is that when you're introduced to these two characters, they're just awful people.
Oh,
they are just not very. I mean, and I know
they deserve to get broken up with.
Not really, but they completely exaggerate their flaws.
Okay.
And they've done that so that you can see them growing through the movie. You can see them becoming better people as they're going along. But it's kind of jarring at first. It's sort of like, oh, do I really want to spend fucking any time with these people? Because then they are slightly dickish. And the plan they come up with is complete assholery, And there's this fucking weird scene. So Jenny Slate's character, the boyfriend of, the new boyfriend that she's trying to break up, he is a drama school teacher, right?
Right.
They're putting on a performance of Little Shop of Horrors.
Okay. And
Jenny Slate goes there to volunteer, as it were, with the production, right? Now, there's this scene where the girl who's playing Audrey apparently has got pink eye, so she's gone home. So Jenny Slate, the adult Jenny Slate, has to get dressed up as Audrey and do the scenes with this kid, right?
Yeah.
So you get this 12-year-old kid singing "Suddenly Seymour" to an adult Jenny Slate,
right?
And it's fucking weird. It is one of the weirdest things I've ever seen, and slightly uncomfortable. It's like I know it's supposed to be uncomfortable, but I'm not sure what I'm supposed to take away from this fucking scene.
Yeah,
it's really weird. And there's this whole subplot where she befriends this kid who's having trouble at home with his two dads, and it just feels really forced. And it's like, why are we wasting time with this? With these, and again, it's supposedly so that you can see her growing as a person. She's doing the right thing, but it's not. It's just awful. Okay, so there were some nice jokes in it. There were some bits that were okay, but as a rom-com, it really is lacking. It was just not, and like I said, you can obviously see where it's going.
Yeah,
and anybody else who watches this is not going to be surprised by what happens at the end. And when the end comes, it literally does go, this happens, end. And you're like,
oh,
okay, right, fine. I suppose, yeah, that's enough, is it? Right, good. So this one I cannot recommend. It's not a very good. I mean, Scott Eastwood's great as the trainer who's got a new girlfriend. I
think he is one good role away from really breaking through.
Yeah, there's another scene where Peter played Charlie Day and Noah go on this they go clubbing, and they end up with these girls, and they end up going back to their house. And at no point do you sort of go, well, hang on a minute, these girls are clearly fucking underage.
Yeah.
These girls, there's no way on God's green earth are these girls of age. So you're going home with them, and then there's this just uncomfortable scenes with this girl's ex-boyfriend who's brought Molly, and there's drugs and stuff. It's like, this is just sad.
Oh dear.
So yeah, no, I think it's pretty bad. Not a good rom-com at all.
Well, that's a shame, but some good films, that have been had in the last couple of weeks. And talking of shit, shall we talk about some trailers?
Let's do it.
It's Super Bowl, right?
Yep.
Super Bowl happened. We got a wealth of trailers to talk about.
disappointed that Cincinnati didn't win, but
I have no feelings on the matter.
I have a vague interest in American football. It's very vague. It's one of the few sports.
My friend absolutely loves it. She's obsessed with it. But yeah, it's never anything that's particularly interested me. But the Super Bowl only interests me for movie trailers and sometimes the halftime concert thing. Whatever that is. So we got some trailers. I think the most positive I could say would probably be I still really think that Moon Knight looks really good. I feel like it's probably not going to be, but it looks good.
I was hopeful with Moon Knight because Moon Knight really does call for Daredevil.
Yes, it does.
Levels of violence and.
I would say if this was coming out, if it was coming out on Netflix, I'd be way more excited than I am. But the trailer looks good. But
so far, what I've seen, it's looking really good, and Oscar Isaac's brilliant. So
he's fantastic.
At least they've got a really good actor, in the role. Still not convinced by that British accent, but
sure.
I'm guessing it's not really supposed to be him anyway. So, well, I don't know which of the personalities he actually is, but
yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. But I thought that was quite a strong trailer.
It's certainly made me want to watch that over any of the other series that Marvel Disney.
It's the first series they've done.
Any of the series they've done so far,
not Star Wars or Marvel. This is the first series where I've gone, I actually kind of want to see that. So that there's potential there for sure. Jurassic World, something or other.
Do you know what? I have not given a fuck about the Jurassic Park franchise for a long time, and I know it's totally, blowing their load and saying, "Look what we've got," but I actually did like that trailer.
So I feel the same. I thought the trailer was actually really well directed. I thought it was really well shot. I liked the. I like the nostalgia baiting going on. I really enjoyed the trailer, but I have watched the last film, so my expectations are so low. I don't think they could be any lower. But as a trailer, it was a solid trailer.
This one, I completely did not want to watch the second one. So
the second one would make you furious.
I remember your review of it.
It's one of the worst films. Like, that film was so bad. I on so many levels. And even in this trailer, they're like, we caused an ecological disaster. It's like, yes, you fucking did. I think I pointed that out during the last movie when you decided to make that decision, that it was a really dumb decision. I mean, beyond anything else, it's kind of ridiculous that dinosaurs even have flourished on Earth. I mean, they would have all got shot within a couple of weeks or days even. But given that we have that, given that we are where we are, the trailer itself was great. Kind of makes me want to see
any of the newer characters.
No, Chris Pratt's usually pretty likable. I can watch him. And, Bryce Dallas Howard. I prefer her as a director these days, but she's a great actress. So
she's a good director. Impressed with her direction.
But yeah, they're fine. It looks like a really strong, solid end to this series. It's just a shame that the movies preceding it have been so awful. To be honest, it makes it very hard for me to invest in this one. But I think they're kind of getting me with nostalgia. I kind of want to see Alan Grant and.
Exactly, it's total baiting, but
it's working.
I'm tempted to fall for it.
It's working.
Totally tempted to fall for it.
What else do we have? Doctor Strange.
So,
and they've learned the worst lesson from Spider-Man.
Yeah,
we're there. Here we are.
Oh god.
Here's a 150-year-old Charles Xavier. Hooray! Yeah. He's gonna be there.
That's baiting I could do without.
Oh God! Why didn't you get McAvoy if you were gonna do it?
That's what I thought.
Get someone young enough to continue the role.
Why the hell would you not get McAvoy to do it?
I don't understand. Maybe McAvoy wasn't interested. That's entirely possible.
It could be.
McAvoy might have been done. He has played Xavier in 3-4 movies, so maybe he was done.
McAvoy's voice isn't quite as
No, they couldn't do the. They couldn't do the. Oh, we're not going to show you who it is, but you can obviously tell who it is. Yeah.
I mean, he has. Stewart does have a very distinct voice.
He does. He's losing it in his old age, but he does still have it somewhat. I'm
really worried about this, and the thing is Doc Strange is one of my favorite Marvel characters. I was waiting fucking years for them to bring Doc Strange into the Marvel universe.
Yeah, I liked the first movie. I had a lot of fun with the first movie.
Yeah, and when they finally mentioned his name in Winter Soldier, it's like, fuck, they actually mentioned him. Great, they are really going to bring him in, and I really like that first movie.
Mm-hmm.
I'm fucking really worried about this. I think it's just going to be a shit show.
It's there is a risk of that. I'm not,
mess.
Yeah, I'm not. I mean, I'm not really interested in superhero stuff anymore. I know I just got the complete collection of Lois and Clark on DVD, but that's that's just cheesy memories from my childhood that I want to revisit. In terms of like new things, I'm not terribly interested. I still haven't seen Spider-Man. I can't imagine I'll bother seeing this, but I'm interested in hearing about it because it sounds like it's going to be a real mess. But yeah, I mean, it looks alright as a trailer.
We've known for a while that this is how they were going to introduce the X-Men.
Oh, I've no issue with the X-Men being introduced from a multiverse. That kind of explains why we've never mentioned them before. I just don't know why you would do it with Patrick Stewart, unless they're just going to be like, oh, this is just one dimensions, X-Men, and we're never going to see them again, and then we'll get proper X-Men somewhere else. Completely. Maybe.
I think, to be honest, they'd be better off just recasting everybody in.
Oh yeah, for sure. Do your own thing, Disney. Do your own, just get your own characters. Like the Hugh Jackman is way too old for it now. Yeah. He's probably bored of it. I mean, he's been playing the character since 1999, 2000.
They're going to do here's 3 more trucks of money for you. Come and play. And when you're offered 3 more trucks of money, you're going to do it, aren't you? But they really shouldn't. I genuinely think Logan was a perfect send-off for Jackman.
It was great for both of them, for Patrick Stewart's Xavier as well. Now, I read a terrifying bit of trivia this week, which is making me fear for the future of everything.
Right.
But I just don't. My brain has gone to a place where I'm like, oh, this is just the worst thing. So, I haven't seen it, but I am told Luke Skywalker he's turned up again as he does every series of Disney now. Apparently, looking way better. The deepfake's way better.
I have seen the clips of it.
Okay,
so he does look a lot better.
So apparently,
it's a little robotic at times, but what I've seen is really well done.
It's not Mark Hamill at all.
Nope.
It is not even his voice.
Nope.
It is a algorithm. A machine has gone through and worked out how to do his voice.
Yep.
And my brain has now gone to the point where I'm like, oh, we're just going to they're going to, pick an actor and then we're going to get them in everything forever.
The thing is that Mark Hamill sold his likeness to Disney. Disney owns his likeness.
Yeah. So he basically can be that forever. But what worries me is that they could just give a bunch of money to Patrick Stewart and be like, okay, look, we'll give you so many million to use your likeness forever. You're going to be dead soon, so don't worry. Just enjoy the money for a couple. Sorry, that's really harsh, but it's true. I mean, he's in his 90s, right? I mean, he's an old dude.
Old bastard.
He's an old dude, and it's a sweet deal. I would take this deal. I'd be like, yeah, sure, do it. Why not?
I guess.
And then it's like, okay, we've got Professor X forever as Patrick Stewart. Or we get, I don't know, Tom Holland is Spider-Man, and it's like, hey, Tom, we'll just pay you $1 million every couple of years for your likeness, or a couple of million every year, and you can go off and do your own movies. Just go do what you want, but we will just create you digitally forever, so that whenever we want Spider-Man, it's you. hey, Robert Downey Jr., you're done with playing Iron Man, right? But what if we told you we could just give you some money and then you don't even have to show up anymore? We'll just do it for you. I don't know. It worries me. It's where my brain went. And then I saw that bloody trailer straight afterwards and I was like, oh God, is this where we are? Is this where we are?
This has been a fear for kind of since the 80s, isn't it? It's been one of the, because even in the 80s, they started doing like adverts with like Humphrey Bogart and stuff.
Yes.
And the technology was really rough then, and it was really just sort of lifting them from the movies. And
it was impressive for the time, but yeah.
But even then, people were beginning to go, one day they'll just make them robots.
That's my worry, man. And this is
Humphrey Bogart, and
this is what worries me. And getting Patrick Stewart as Xavier is like, the guy is terrifically old at this point.
Yeah.
And that's nothing against him. It's just like, you've got no longevity in casting Xavier, using Patrick Stewart as Xavier. None at all. Yeah. Think about the length of time it takes to produce movies. And surely he's going to be getting to the age soon where he's going to be like, I don't want to play this character anymore. Yeah. I mean, I guess he's in a wheelchair most of the time. That probably, just chill out and sit down for most of the scenes. But like, I don't know. It just worries me, and I'm not convinced by. I'm not convinced by this trailer at all. I think it's going to be, like you said. I think it feels really messy to me.
Stewart's 81.
Okay. He's actually way younger than I thought.
So he's a bit younger than
I take it back somewhat. That's actually way. I thought he was like 91 or something. So
yeah, no, he's
okay.
But yeah,
okay, he's got a fair few years left in him, presumably. Then in that case, but even so, he's far too old to be playing Xavier. They're obviously going to de-age him.
I mean, funnily enough, it's going to be interesting to see what they do with the Magneto and the Charles characters going forward.
Yeah,
because we're now so far away from World War II.
Yeah, it's going to be a problem, isn't it? I was thinking that.
Going to be hard to set. I mean, they're going to have to pick another conflict.
Unless it's a multiverse, and then they come through and they're from you've got the X-Men, but they're from the 90s.
Yeah.
Because then Disney can go, hey, remember that animated show that you liked in the 90s? Mm-hmm. This is those ones in live action. Here they are.
Yeah.
I don't know. Who knows? This was always a danger when, Spider-Man's apparently a fantastic film. I know you really enjoyed it, didn't you? Yeah, the new one with Tobey Maguire and whatnot.
No, I haven't seen that yet.
Oh, you've not seen that one yet?
No, okay. No, I haven't seen it yet.
I thought you had. Do you know? I could imagine your review of that for some reason. Okay, so neither of us have seen that movie. But this was always the worry, wasn't it? It was like, what lessons have you learned from Spider-Man being the biggest selling movie of all time? Has it beaten Avatar now? Because it was close to beating Avatar last I heard.
Last I heard, it was properly creeping up on it.
Yeah, like within millions now.
I have actually done it, so.
But it is that worry of like, what lesson have you learned from this?
That's exactly what Hollywood does. It does it all the time. It takes the wrong fucking lesson.
You've learned the wrong lesson. Because then we heard there were mass reshootings, right?
Mm-hmm.
Of Doc Strange, and now I'm like, is this why we've got Patrick Stewart now? Did you just go, oh wait a minute, I know what people like. Yeah, they like old Patrick characters.
Stewart, just say this line into this dictaphone. That's all we need from you. For that.
I hope that when he turns up, it's rubber face CGI Professor X from Wolverine, that Wolverine movie Origins.
That weird smooth.
That's the one I want. Features, I want that one. Give us that, Charles Xavier, please. So I don't know. I mean, are they even doing X-Men? It could be the Illuminati thing. Weren't they part of that? Wasn't it like Xavier and Strange was part of it, which is why you could have evil Doc Strange and the people that shot Hulk up into space. And oh god, oh no, Iron Man was part of that, wasn't he? They're gonna have a recast Tony Stark in this. Alternate dimension Tony Stark, played
that's
by someone else.
That's been the other rumor, isn't it?
Was there a rumor?
Mm-hmm.
What's the rumor?
Well, that they're going to recast Iron Man.
Okay.
But the other...
See, I thought they weren't going to bother because they were going to do Iron Heart, but maybe they're going to try and do both. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the multiverse does allow them to recast if they want to change actors.
Completely.
So,
Yeah. I mean, they could even do that whole... Because they were originally going to cast Tom Cruise, weren't they? So there has been talk of even having Tom Cruise turn up as Iron Man.
Oh.
Did you not know that one?
No, and I've never really thought about him in the role, and now I'm wondering whether he would be pulling it off very well. I can't really imagine him.
I'd like to see him play Iron Man like he played Lestat.
Yeah, okay.
As a real bastard.
Just a complete piece of shit, yeah.
That would be great.
No, do you know, that could work. That could work. If you were going to like have an alternate dimension villain, villainous Tony Stark, I'd go with Tom Cruise doing a Lestat. That would be funny.
He can do menacing pretty well when he wants to, Tom Cruise.
Yeah, he certainly can. I'd be up for that, actually. That's kind of interesting. Well, I don't know. The trailer certainly doesn't do much for me, but then I'm not, like I said, I'm not really big into the superhero thing these days.
I mean, even my patience with it is waned quite a bit. But as I said, I love Doc Strange. Doc Strange is genuinely one of my favourite Marvel characters.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's going to be a Doc Strange movie, is it? It sounds like there's going to be so much mess in it.
Featuring Doc Strange.
Yeah. and featuring walk-on parts by Doc Strange. I mean, he's supposed to be playing the bad guy as well, isn't he? So maybe...
I think there's an evil version... Well, from the trailer, I gathered there's an evil version of Doc Strange and an evil version of Wanda. Looked like it, anyway. But, who knows? And then Lord of the Rings, is that the only other...
I think so, yeah.
Trailer? That's the only one that sticks in my mind, anyway. I think we might have got another Batman trailer, but they're all just pretty much the same at this point.
My interest in that is completely evaporated.
I'm curious. I doubt I'll see it in the cinema, but I will certainly watch it at some point.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Rings of Power, is that what it's called? Yes, the Rings of Power, the new Netflix show. This cost them, I think it cost them like $1 billion to even get the license.
Yeah.
Or something silly like that. It was a ridiculous sum.
It's the most expensive fucking TV series ever made, isn't it?
Now, Amazon can afford it. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But this is still a lot of money.
I mean, they've paid that amount of money, and they've given it to showrunners and writers that have very few credits.
What have they done previously? I've not actually looked it up.
Fuck all, basically.
Oh, okay. They have no credits.
But they're all from J.J. Abrams' stables.
Oh, cool. He did such a good job with Star Wars. I'm sure that'll work out really well.
Yeah.
Just trying to see if I can find these people's... Nope, I can't even find a list. But yeah, So the trailer I thought looked quite generic, if I'm honest. Being kind, I thought it looked like a generic action movie. If you hadn't said certain things in the trailer, I never would have known it was Lord of the Rings.
There were some pretty shots.
There's some pretty shots.
Even though we've got Action Galadriel,
which makes, I mean, that literally never happens. So
I mean, I suppose you could, it's supposed to be thousands of years away from Lord of the Rings, so
well, no, it's in the Second Age, and she never did that in the Second Age.
No.
But again, this is where they're drawing the line, because the Tolkien estate have said you can have the rights, but you can't change anything that Tolkien wrote. So they're going to the Second Age, which isn't terribly well documented, to just basically say, oh, we're just going to make our own story within this time frame.
Well, the thing that at least sort of makes me a little happier about that is the fact that Martha Clark is playing her. And she was fucking amazing in St. Joan. I'm
sure she'll be great. I'm just not sure.
Great actress.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be the actress's fault.
It won't be her fault why it sucks.
It may not suck. It may be it won't.
I mean, It might be very, very good.
I will say the trailer has not done anything for me.
No,
it's made me very concerned.
Way more Game of Thrones vibe than Lord of the Rings, isn't it?
Yes, nothing about it really screams Lord of the Rings to me. Maybe a few of the landscape shots and a few of the kind of CG cities. They look a bit Lord of the Ring-esque.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not doing an awful lot for me.
No.
You know, and a lot of criticism online around the accuracy.
I'm surprised. It's more than just the usual suspects who are coming out and deriding it. You know, so
I don't think I've seen anyone say anything positive about it. But that just might be my news feed rather than anything else. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, it's not. It does look like they just bought every Tolkien book and burnt them.
Yeah.
You know, it's like they don't. It doesn't feel like they've really read the source material at all before making this show, which is a staggering thing to do when you spent so much money on something.
Yeah,
you would imagine you'd be like, okay, let's make sure we make money on this, and you know,
it's not like he didn't write stuff that you could do even in the brief stuff that's in the Silmarillion.
Yeah,
the description, they're not detailed descriptions of what happens, but you can certainly get a lot of information on.
Oh, his. I think this is the source of most of the criticism, is that Tolkien was insanely in depth in his lore and the way things are. He specifically states how things are, what characters, what races look like, all of that kind of stuff. Which is why we're now getting the backlash on female dwarves and no beard.
Yeah,
it's specifically stated by Tolkien. We've got elves with short hair. Specifically stated by Tolkien, they have long hair. You know, all of these things. You know, and you've got the arguments of race and whatnot. But even that aside, you've got horrible inaccuracies across the board. So it's interesting. It's a gamble. But I'll give it a shot for sure.
Yeah.
Nothing's filling me with hope yet.
No.
If I'm honest. I don't really know what to say about it other than it looks really generic and really kind of. I mean, it looks like it's got a high budget. I'll give them that.
Yeah.
They've spent money on it.
They've certainly, it's got a big enough budget. They certainly,
And like you said, some of the shots, it looks pretty well shot in places. What's
going on with those hunter dudes with the fucking great big antlers on their backs. That was weird.
I don't know what they're doing. So I guess
they're supposed to be hunters. It's like, okay, they're hunters. How does those things? I mean, I suppose it's to do with blending in. But
are you blending in when you're carrying the skeleton of the thing you're hunting? I don't know how blending in that is. It
is very odd.
Yeah.
And I know there's been a lot of people saying that Galadriel's armor looks really bad. And it does kind of look a little rubbery in places, but I didn't think it was that bad. It kind of looks elven. I mean,
it kind of does, and I mean that's the kind of thing they can fix.
Yeah.
Anyway, in post, it just not a great showing, and it almost feels to me like either they've got some real big, amazing reveals that they're keeping. Or it almost feels like a trailer to something they're kind of scared to show much of. Like you don't really see a lot at all in this trailer. It's a trailer of not very much happening, and very generic fantasy / movie trailer lines. That's pretty much all it kind of feels like.
Yeah, really bad. I mean, even the whole idea is before there was a king. It's like,
by the way, there were kings in the Second Age, and
exactly.
There's big kings. Which king are you speaking about specifically? Aragorn? Is that what you're talking about? Because there are kings.
Well, a lot of them, in fact.
Yes, yeah. So yeah, it's very.
It's certainly not filling me full of any hope. Anyway.
It's really odd as well because it's like before the king.
Yeah.
And then a new saga begins or something. And it's like,
Yes.
but that those two things don't make sense.
No.
Is it the start or is it following on?
Wording
or
is really
your
bad.
wording is very, very bizarre.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll give it a go for sure. I'm not keen on the, female dwarves have beards. I know it sounds like a nitpick, but it's in the writing. It literally, he stated it. Elves, long hair. Come on, it's not difficult, is it? That kind of thing.
I've always thought though it's probably pretty hard to cast elves because they do have a certain facial structure.
They do, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't. At the end of the day, I don't care. If you decide to change race, whatever, fine. But the least you could do is give them the hair and give them the basic look that they are said to have had.
Yeah.
It just seems odd.
The problem for them is they obviously want to play on the fact that we love Lord of the Rings, but they obviously can't do that much with that. So
sure,
they're obviously playing a very sort of tight game of how much can we bait you, how much can we get away with,
Apparently, they can't get away with anything they've done. If I look online,
I don't envy them, really, to be honest.
No, it's a poison chalice. I don't know why they got the rights, because it's like after Peter Jackson's trilogy, like anything, it could be like the best thing ever, and people would still hate it. I would imagine.
Yeah.
It's a losing battle before you start, let alone spending like billions on it.
I do think it's funny that people are already going, you know what this is going to do? This is going to do the same as what the Star Wars happened with Star Wars. Is the prequels are going to look a lot better.
Oh, what, they're thinking it's going to retroactively make The Hobbit good?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, I'm not sure I'd go that far, but
no, I wouldn't either.
For the record, I still don't like the prequels either, so it's not convinced me either way.
I've always had a soft spot for a lot of the Jedi stuff in the prequels.
Sure,
and
they're fun. I mean, I can say that they are fun at least.
They're not they're not great movies, but they at least felt like Star Wars.
But yeah, it's an interesting one, and I just think you could at least follow Tolkien's basic kind of parameters for how these characters look.
They've got ages before it's shown. Was it September?
You think they could just digitally add beards and digitally add hair? I guess they could.
Maybe
we are in that age, so maybe they
just
could.
do reshoots.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, most of it's going to be bloody green screened anyway, isn't it? I think.
I would imagine some of those landscapes look real, but yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Hard to say. But apparently they've got like 5 seasons of this, haven't they? They're planning on.
That's what they've said. Yeah. I mean, that's another one of those times where you just go, really?
Well, I mean, on the flip side of that, you don't spend $1 billion getting the rights to then do one series. So I guess arguably fair enough.
If you spend that amount of money, then probably would be better to do a couple of smaller series. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Pick a couple of small series with so many different, just a couple of different characters. There's one particular storyline from the Silmarillion that I remember being really cool, which the one with the there's a guy with a cursed sword and his friend's a bowman.
Yes, I vaguely. Do you know the Silmarillion is the one I've read the least?
Yeah, it's same here, but there's the things that stand out, and that I forget their bloody names. These two dudes, but they would make a great series if they could pull their finger out and do that, because it's a real tragedy, that story.
I mean, maybe that's what they're planning to do. Like each series would be a different era, different time, different story, and that could be interesting. I don't know. I don't want to write it off based on a trailer. Trying, because I would love it. I'd love a good show. Nothing in the trailer's really filling me with hope. And like I said, I don't care if you ultimately if you want to change, race swap or do any of that stuff.
Well, it seems like an awful lot of money to spend on virtue signaling.
Well, I don't. Yeah, but and again, it's not even a problem. Like, it's like, well, fair enough. If you want to go that if you want to do that, go ahead. But but why don't you give the female dwarf a beard, and why don't you give them the long hair that's described by Tolkien? That's just, that's fair enough. And it's not, I guess in hindsight it could be a nitpick, really. Like, maybe it's not that big of a deal, but it speaks to me. It just says that they're not really bothering to follow the source material, and that kind of worries me a little.
I think it also doesn't help that
Oh, and as my friend pointed out, by the way, it's not just literally all I've complained about. I realize, listeners, that all I have complained about is the fucking beard and the hair.
Yeah.
I realize that, but I'm going to say one more thing about the hair. A friend of mine actually also pointed out, it's not just that they've got short hair, they've got modern hair.
Yeah.
It's like modern hairstyles.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, go on.
Well, I mean, I think seeing is just recently the what was it called? The last series, the Eye of the World thing, the
Wheel of Time.
Yes, the Wheel of Time. That didn't do terribly well with fans of the books, did it?
Now, interestingly, so interestingly with that one, that did not do well with fans of the book. However, non-fans seemed to quite enjoy it. So
I didn't finish it.
Okay.
I got halfway through and it lost me, but I kind of enjoyed most of the first episodes. It lost me sort of halfway through, but.
And maybe that's it. Maybe we do need to leave the book at the door and just approach this series as a series and see how we find it. But
you would think if it's got that big a fan base, maybe you don't want to change it that much.
I certainly would have probably played it safer, in terms of the descriptions of the characters and whatnot. And I'm not talking about race when I say that. I am talking about, the fact that the beard, the hair, the fact that Galadriel was never. I mean, Galadriel's like insanely powerful. Like, why is she like running around with a sword and armor? Like, what's going on? Like, it just. Yeah, things like that. It worries me. But
I presume this is before she gets her ring, right?
I would assume so.
So I don't think the rings have actually been made yet at this point, have they?
No, I think this is like the kind of beginning of that, and
the lead up to him. What's his fate? Sauron forging the rings and stuff. Yeah. Yes,
because I think at first he forges. There's quite a few rings that get forged before the one ring gets forged from memory. So I guess, it's going to tell that. And I love the idea. The thing is, I love the concept and the whole idea of us having like 5 seasons, because Lord of the Rings and Tolkien's work in general, it's so detailed and there's so much information, there's so much going on that it's very difficult to do that in a movie. So it makes sense to do it as a series. The series is the perfect place for it. But it's going to be in the execution, and I guess we'll have to see. Like, I'm not going to write it off completely from a trailer. It just wasn't a very exciting trailer, to be honest. It looked very generic.
I'm trying to be charitable. I'm trying to keep hope alive.
Yeah, we just watched Reacher. That was fun.
Yeah,
that was Amazon. They did all right. I'm assuming Copshop's not theirs, but they showed me that. I very much enjoyed that this week. So could work. Yeah. I don't know. We will wait and see. But weirdly, I never thought I'd be coming out of the Super Bowl being like, "Hey, that Jurassic Park trailer was probably the best trailer." Didn't expect that to happen.
Actually, now you said it. That is actually fucking odd, isn't it?
Yeah, because I thought I thought even though I'm not like a big superhero guy, I thought the Doc Strange trailer will probably be great. Because their trailers are usually pretty good, aren't they? I mean, they're pretty good with trailers.
Yeah. Usually pretty good.
Yeah, and even like Lord of the Rings, I was like, I'm quite excited to see this trailer and see what it's like. I'd seen the posters and the screenshots, but screenshots, you want to see things in motion, because I remember thinking that some of the I mean, I know you're not a huge well, you are, you liked it, but you weren't as big of a fan of Villeneuve's Dune as I was. But I remember seeing stills from that, and that worried me at the time, and I was like, and then when I saw the movie, you see things in motion, see the costumes in motion, they look far better.
Yeah.
So it was like, I'll wait and see, but who knows?
Oh, I just remember the other one that they had that Flash, the DC Flashy one, didn't they, with all the Did you see that?
with the World Needs Heroes thing,
Yeah.
whatever it was, and we got shots of. Oh, actually, there's a Black Adam trailer. I haven't watched it though.
The bit that I liked about that trailer was I liked the Hawkman. The Hawkman suit was very cool.
Oh, I did. I've seen that. I have seen that. I don't know if is that a Black Adam trailer or is that just is there a Black Adam trailer?
No, I think it's all part of that DC thing.
Okay, so I have seen that. I thought there was like
there was a Black Adam teaser that came out a while ago.
I've seen that.
It's quite good. That was actually quite a good one.
For some reason, I thought they'd done like an actual Black Adam trailer. But
I'm interested to see how that's gonna go because the Shazam movie was quite lighthearted and
I loved that Shazam movie. I had so much fun.
Black Adam is completely part of that specific.
Sure. Yeah, because he's Shazam's biggest villain, right, or one of them.
Well, yeah, the problem. The thing with Black Adam is he's not a straight up villain. He's kind of been both. He's one of those slightly ambiguous characters, like mostly sort of villain, but he has been a good guy as well. He's quite a complicated character, but from that teaser, that was a pretty dark, murdery teaser. So it's going to be interesting to see how they line that up with the Shazam movie. We did see Pierce Brosnan's Doc Fate, which makes me happy because I love Dr. Fate.
And now, Dr. Fate's great. I'm now thinking of like 90s Brosnan. My God, he would have made a good Doc Strange. Actually, I would have totally saw Brosnan with a little, would have worked. Anyway, so he's playing Dr. Fate, and you're a huge fan of Dr. Fate, so that's cool.
Yeah, I do like a lot of the Mystic.
I think Brosnan's really coming into it. He's like having a second coming as an actor in his older age. He's done some great stuff. Yeah,
he is. He's sort of leaning into those sort of mental roles, isn't he?
Yeah, or villain roles. He's been a great villain of late.
Yeah. So we should mention.
Yes. We should probably mention Ivan Reitman. I'm sorry. We talked for like about half an hour before we started the show, and in my head we'd already covered it, so I'm glad you said that. Right. But yes, Ivan Reitman, of course, passed away yesterday. Or, well, not yesterday, sorry. Announced yesterday.
2 days ago.
Yeah. What is there to say? The guy...
Great producer, great director.
Yeah.
Mostly funnies.
Yeah.
Ghostbusters, let's face it, is one of our favourite movies. So
yes, that first movie is absolutely brilliant.
And I love Stripes.
Yes, Stripes is fantastic.
Love Meatballs.
I think I said to you a while ago, actually, like I haven't watched Stripes for, decades. Like I feel like I really want to watch Stripes again soon.
It's a great movie. Still, I think it still holds up. It's pretty funny. There are some dodgy things in it because it's like the 80s, but what I only found out recently that I didn't realise is that he produced the first 2 Cronenberg movies.
I didn't know that until you told me before the show. So
Rabid and Shivers, which I love those movies. They're great, Cronenberg classics.
Yeah.
So he had a great career, and
he certainly did.
Until recently, he was even doing the rounds with his son on the last Ghostbusters movie.
There's a fantastic interview between them.
Yeah,
it's really good.
Really, really good. So I think he was only like 75. I think. So he, not as old as some of the passings we've had recently, but
yeah,
real shame. Real great guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
He was part of that whole, Canadian comedy scene, with Moranis and for fuck's sake, Ray from Ghostbusters. My brain is just
Aykroyd,
thank you.
Yeah,
damn it. With Aykroyd and that, and and they all came around up together, and they had that whole sort of Animal House feel about what they were doing. It was bloody brilliant. So yeah, we will be sadly missed.
Absolutely will be. I'm glad he got to see his son's take on Ghostbusters. That was the one thing I was like yesterday. I was like, I'm glad he got to do that though.
Yeah, totally makes up for the last one because he produced that as well.
Yeah. But yes, that's a depressing note to finish on.
Yeah, well.
But Copshop's good fun. I recommend watching that one if you want something to watch this weekend. Reacher, yeah, like I said,
I do recommend. If you're a fan of French fun movies, then I do recommend Big Bug.
Yes, I'm going to give that a watch for sure. But what are we watching next week?
So I'd like to do my second favourite.
Second favourite
Ridley Scott movie.
Alien?
No. The Duelists.
Oh, is that? I didn't know that was your second favourite movie. That's a fine film, though.
It's my second favourite Ridley Scott movie.
Huh, there we go. Yes, I'm well up for that. Sounds good. I haven't watched that for a long time.
Cool.
Yeah, sounds great. Yeah, fantastic film. Look forward to it. Well, thank you for listening, everybody. And yes, we'll be back with The Duelists next time.
Bye.